Eyewitness News presents Newsmakers with your hosts Jane Ann Bugda and Andy Mahalchik.
Hi everyone and welcome to Newsmakers. I'm Jane Ann Bugda. Today we're talking an interesting topic, wellness in the workplace. Many businesses, big and small, are instituting wellness programs to help their employees with dieting, exercise, and reducing stress. And the results, well, they're quite positive. When we come back, I'll introduce you to my guests, and our discussion will begin when this edition of Newsmakers returns right after this. Welcome back to Newsmakers. I'm Jane Ann Bugda. The average employee works well over 40 hours each week, and that can cut into a healthy lifestyle. That's why many businesses are starting wellness programs to help their employees with diet and exercise. And the results? Healthier workforce and lower health costs. Two positives, and there's so much more. Let me introduce you to my guests. They are our experts on wellness. I am joined today by Dr. Nina Taggart. Dr. Taggart is the Vice President and Chief Medical Officer of Blue Cross of Northeast PA. Dr. Donna Hamilton, she is the Chief Wellness Officer for Manifest Excellence LLC, and Joe Fazzula, who is the co-owner of Garrity's Supermarkets. Thank you all for being with us today. Very interesting topic. When I start looking into wellness programs, I was amazed at the amount of information there is about that and about how companies can help their employees get fit on the job and get healthy on the job, and that's important, I think, in today's society. So let's begin by first question. What is a wellness program?
Well, a wellness program it can be simple, it can be complex as much as you want to make it, but it is a set of interventions that's designed to help people be as healthy as they can be in all dimensions of wellness. So physical, emotional, mental, and since, as you said, we spend more than half of our lives at work, a large part of that has to do with how it fits into the workplace, and you can encourage people to be their healthiest.
And why should employers be concerned about our wellness?
Well, I think that a workforce is your greatest competitive asset in this very competitive economic environment. So particularly as we see more and more people, the baby boom gets grayer and grayer, we know that to retain your best workers and have your best productivity, you need to invest in their wellness, because that is a real differentiator. And when you have so few people to back each other up, that becomes an even bigger issue. So it's an investment that pays off, and Joe could probably tell us more about that.
Absolutely. Our success has been tremendous with our wellness program. We started it in 2009, and we've rolled it out slowly. Our approach has been to introduce it in steps to all of our employees, and the response and the acceptance has grown over the years. And we're hoping that going forward, we're going to see more and more benefits from that.
I said to Joe earlier that you can find everything at Garrity's, even a wellness program now. And that's amazing, because I think that's interesting that companies take the interest to help their employees. You know, when we're talking about this, we're talking about how, you know, we're keeping people healthy. So how much does it cost to keep an employee healthy?
Well, you know, not very much to keep them healthy. I mean, if you look at the cost of preventative services, for most people, it's a few $100s a year. But just look at what it costs to take care of someone who has a chronic condition, diabetes, cardiac disease, pulmonary disease. That's going to be in the tens of thousands of dollars, not to mention its effect on their quality of living and their families and our community. So.
And you also get a good return on investment. The literature about workforce wellness, it's very good. So that's why, from a business perspective, a lot of businesses are seeing you can invest not very much, and depending on the program and the intervention, some people are seeing, you know, $3 to $6 for every dollar they invest. So that's pretty good.
You know, I look at Northeast PA and I wonder, how do we rank against other areas when it comes to wellness and staying healthy?
Well, when you look at our population, I can tell you based on what we know at Blue Cross, our population is significantly less healthy in many ways than others. Because if you look at people as doing well, healthy, going about their business every day, dealing with a chronic condition, or having a health issue that's actually interfering with their life on a day-to-day basis, we have almost twice as many who have an illness that really they're struggling with every day. So we really need to make these investments.
And it can be small changes, as you said, within a person's daily work.
You've got to, you've got to start. Every change is made with small steps. You definitely start small, be positive, and I think that Dr. Donna can tell us, and I think Joe's approach has really, is a really great example of keep it positive, keep it simple, and reward, and step after step, and you really see results.
We're going to explain a little bit more about what they do at Garrity's, but I want to just, outline for some of the people at home, what are some of the conditions that are rising our healthcare costs?
Well, there are a lot of different things. We're definitely seeing an increase in obesity, and obesity in and of itself can set you up for other things too. So diabetes, cardiovascular problems, blood pressure, heart disease. So lots of different things. Another thing that we're seeing a lot of, especially in workplaces, is musculoskeletal things, so like carpal tunnel, back pain, things people don't think about.
That's that computer sitting there.
Yeah, it is. And also because they're, speaking of computers, sedentary lifestyle, which means people are just sitting around a lot and not moving, and that also sets yourself up for their own risks too. Again, a lot of the same things, heart disease, diabetes, which can be pretty nasty.
How do you determine what your workforce needs? How do you just say, this is what my employees need?
Well, you've got lots of sources of information. I mean, the best thing is to ask them and find out what they're interested in, but you also probably have information based on your insurance claims and based on your workers' compensation and safety claims. So you probably are very aware of what the key issues are. And as Dr. Donna said, the basic issues tend to be the same. Obesity, inactivity, we have a lot of musculoskeletal issues, cardiac, GI, and cancer. And those are the cost drivers. And then I think we're going to get a chance to talk a little bit about stress and depression. and that is a huge one.
Mental health
is
big.
In employers of all sizes.
Now, Joe, how did you determine what your employees needed? Did they tell you, or were you just looking at what their healthcare needs?
We're currently a customer of Blue Cross, and one of the things that falls into our wellness program is that all of our employees take a wellness survey. And it goes through all of the different factors related to health. So that gives us a very good feedback on what their risk factors are and where they are and what their decisions are and how likely they are to try to change their habits.
We were mentioning that any company can do this, and any small business, big business, employees, if there's 5 of you in the office, you can probably think of something you can do. But let's talk about some of the conditions that are driving up the cost. Let's talk about, first, we had mentioned about stress. I don't care who you are today, whether you are the top of the company or the bottom of the company, we all deal with stress. And working in a newsroom is a very high stress job, which I know, but I know other people who work outside this business. Everybody's job has stress. What does stress do to us on the job? And the stress we bring from home as well.
Yeah, well,
Don't
the first
forget
thing,
that.
stress is pervasive. Stress is a fact of life. And that's important to know, because some people start to stress about stress. And so not all stress is bad. I mean, some people need a certain degree of stress in order to function optimally. The issue with stress is that our body was not created to be under chronic stress. People have heard about fight or flight, and so our body was kind of evolved. So if you were walking down the street and you saw a bear, you would go ahead, you would respond appropriately, and you would leave, but not to walk around continuously afraid of seeing a bear. And so that's what we're seeing. So the stress per se isn't the problem, it's the strain of constantly being stressed that creates problems. And it can set up a lot of different things, imbalances in your endocrine system, so your hormones. It can create mental health issues like anxiety and depression. Again, musculoskeletal systems, because when you have that chronic stress, which is a physiologic response, it sets up a lot of different responses. So your muscles get tighter. And if you're continuously tighter, you can throw off a lot of different things. So it sets you up for a lot of different things. Also, heart disease we see is associated or can be worse with stress and better with relaxation, because we have to see the opposite too. A lot of these things can get better when we do some stress management and stress reduction.
So how do we deal with stress on the job?
Okay, lots of different things, and it can be easier than you think. Doesn't mean it's easy, but it can be easier than you think. So one of the things I like to tell people, start at the beginning. So reduce what you can. So there's stress reduction and there's stress management. So if you have things that you can reduce, start there. So if you can ask for additional assistance to get some projects done, if you can maybe defer some things, if you can have a tough conversation with a coworker so that you can maybe address some ongoing interpersonal issues, do those things. Now, most of the people are going to have to deal with things that they just have to manage. And that when you think about stress management, I like to say, let's redefine that fight or flight instinct. So instead of fighting and getting ready to physically fight, you can fight, which means you address it. And just so learn some skills so when things are happening that create a response within you, you learn a healthier response. So let's talk about the interpersonal, because that's a big part of stress. Poor communication, office dynamics, the supervisor you want to hurt, the coworker who annoys you.
Right.
You know, so you can learn different skills to address that. And there are a lot of different books and resources. Dr. Sylvia LaFair has a very good book that's called Don't Bring It to Work. And you can recognize not only what you bring, because sometimes it can be just how you react, and you can deal with yourself and learn healthier ways to react, but you can also learn skills to work with other people so that you know if they're always going to be the complainer, or there's going to be the office gossip, or the one who's going to run every time stuff gets stressful. You can learn ways of dealing with that. So that's just one example of a new way to fight. Managing it is another way, is that flight or escape, and that's a big part of stress management. We want to have people to learn how to get a sense of feeling empowered, because powerlessness is part of what creates that chronic strain. You just feel victimized, that it's never going to just let up. So if you can find some ways to escape, so sometimes that's a physical escape. You get up, you can walk around for a little bit. You can walk out of if you just have a tough meeting, get up and walk away.
I think when you're saying that, when you're thinking there, when you're sitting there by a computer screen and you're feeling yourself, just get up and stretch your legs.
Stretch. And some people like physical things, and some people like mental things. So some people would want to physically walk, stretch, go work out afterwards. Some people might just want to stop, close their eyes, and deep breathe, a more mental escape. A virtual vacation, you close your eyes and you picture yourself on the beach, journaling, meditation. There are lots of different things that you can do for free at your desk that don't involve money or don't involve food.
And that's true.
But especially. But you have to know your style. That's the biggest thing. One size doesn't fit all. And even for you, what works now might not work next year.
Right.
So you have a lot of different things in your toolkit.
And you while you're talking there, you brought up something interesting. You said about sometimes we stress out and we eat, and that's another problem, which is our expanding waistlines. And sometimes I got to get away from here. You go downstairs and there's your old friend, the vending machine. So let's talk a little bit about overeating on the job, not intentionally, but because there's not maybe a healthy choice there. And Joe, you were telling me that you offer healthy choices for your employees.
We do, and for our customers. We don't have vending machines because we're a supermarket. But what we make sure we have is we have a fresh fruit bar, and we have a fresh salad bar, and we do baked chicken out of our hot food case, and we have healthy choices in our cold prepared foods for takeout. It's really important to give employees that option. And of course at our office we have the candy drawer, and over the years that's gone down, and since we've instituted our wellness program, there is more of an awareness. We're relatively new to wellness. We've been doing it, like I said, for about 3 years now. Our employees have an awareness of it now, and unfortunately we don't have statistics to say that it's working. We have a lot of anecdotal evidence though that have said a lot of our employees have started weight loss, and they've become more aware, and they have gone to the doctors when they never did before, and they've started to find things.
And you said you've noticed attitudes changing. And I think if you have that option there, the healthier option. So how about some ideas for employees or employers or even employees to bring in? What are some healthier choice ideas for bringing a snack to the job, or maybe when you go to the vending machine, what should you be looking?
I think that your idea about choice is a big deal, because no one wants to be the food police, and no one wants to have the food police. So if you bring those options, so when you're bringing in that special baked good, also bring in some fruit, having some veggies, and then hydration is really important too, because a lot of people eat when really they're thirsty. So making sure that you're keeping up with some of that. So having some of those simple things, so making sure you're hydrated, having a couple of easy things around, and if you have to have something crunchy, maybe choosing something that is a little bit better. It doesn't have to, like good nuts and good fats. So
yeah, and then the other thing is, you know, like we said, we don't want the food police, and so allow yourself some goodies. But think about portion control. So if you're going to have some chocolate, make sure it's good quality chocolate. And you don't have to, you don't have to eat the whole bar, but get a little square and savor it, like literally savor it, because there's a lot of data that says that the mental piece, being very mindful and present with it, you will enjoy it more, your body will deal with it better, but also you will crave it less, you'll feel satisfied sooner. So instead of being mindless, if you're just gonna have the chips, don't just kind of cram them down while you're typing with one hand. Sit back, and they are the best chips you have ever had, and you will eat less. And that's been very well documented. If you're enjoying and you're present, you will eat less.
Well, we are going to continue our conversation on workplace wellness, and it's wellness for everyone, whether you're at home or if you're at a job. We have a lot more information on our topic today on pahomepage.com under the Newsmakers link. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Newsmakers. I'm Jane Ann Bugda. I'm joined today by Dr. Nina Taggart, Dr. Donna Hamilton, and Joe Fazzula of Garrity Supermarkets. We're talking about workplace wellness, and we're getting a lot of tips, a lot of practical advice, a lot of good advice. And I think another concern of employees is when people work swing shifts or night shifts. And that can really take a toll on a body, on a diet, on an exercise program. What advice do you have for people that work night shifts or swing shifts?
Well, thank God we don't have too many swing shifts. That is really tough on the psyche and on the body. Most of our employees are fully either night shift or day shift employees. And I think for those people, it's really important for them to make sure that they bring something with them that's healthy. And they have to make sure that when they do get out in the morning, that they just don't go home or go to the supermarket or the restaurant and eat the wrong kind of foods.
You got to adjust. You got to make sure that you have on a schedule. Sometimes that's not easy at first, because I know I've worked night shifts for most of my life, and now I'm on a day shift, and it was a big adjustment to me, like getting into a different eating pattern. So I think that's important to know too.
Yeah, and we also have to make sure, well, for any shift, but especially for people who already have a challenge because they're changing their sleep, that the healthy choice is the easiest choice. So whether it's having healthy food or maybe having lots of reminders up for them about healthy activity, so when they do take a break, maybe instead of curling up to go to sleep, that they do get up and walk around or do a few minutes of stretching. Which you can do in the day too, but I think especially at nighttime it's important. And another thing that people don't think about is also teamwork. So for night shift especially, because they often feel isolated. So we have to do some things so that they feel mentally and emotionally still connected, either with the people who work with them or with the people they don't see very often.
And another health culprit, of course, is smoking. And what can companies do to help employees kick the habit?
Well, there is a lot of help available, because we know that smoking takes 10 years or more off of your life, and that so many people it's the largest cause of avoidable death that we have. So it's really important to work towards being smoke-free, but that sounds like a lot to start with. So helping people be aware that there's support for them to quit smoking, making coaching programs available, making sure that the benefits that they have are going to cover some of the nicotine replacements and assistance, and then set an example, because quitting smoking is not the easiest thing in the world to do. Most people try 4 to 6 times before they can stay quit. So I think starting with that encouragement and sticking with it and moving towards, many of the employers that we work with say, we know we want to go towards being smoke-free, but we're going to start with just hoping that the folks that we have quit smoking. Because many people, though not all, who smoke would like to quit. And so beginning to work on that.
I know another idea that I know we had talked about is a walk club, or getting people to walk with you, or just walk a little bit on lunchtime. You know, people say, oh, just taking a walk on lunch, but what will that do?
Oh, it does a lot. It absolutely does a lot. Actually, all types of support are good. So whether you want to do smoking cessation, whether you want to get people eating, well, a meditation group. So the peer support in and of itself has benefits. It has health benefits. It has stress reduction. When you add walking to it, even if it's only 5 or 10 minutes, it breaks down up that time where you're just sitting. And then you get moving. People say try to get 20,000 steps a day. So even if you do 5 minutes, it's better than no minutes, especially if you're not just sitting around talking. So it helps.
And what are some other tips people can look to do just while they're sitting at work, or just to try to get themselves moving or thinking healthy? Or
I think what Dr. Donna spoke about earlier, so simple stretches at your desk are really important. And you can often find those online, or you can find them talking to your health coach. At the library, there are a lot of sources for that. So stopping, because we don't realize that we're sitting all bent up or all tense at our desks all day. So get up, walk around, change your focus, and it makes a big difference. And even if it's just chair stretches, that makes a big difference.
Deep breathing. People ask me, if you just can do one thing, I say your breath. Your breath is always with you. And you can use that for meditation, but it's also an automatic stress reliever. Because when you get stressed, your body has a physiologic response that you start to do shallow panting breath, and people don't realize it, or they kind of hold their breath. So if you maybe once an hour even just stop and take a nice deep breath, 5 to 10, it actually makes you sit up straighter. I mean, it does a lot. It makes you focus. It just 30 seconds, and it really does a lot physiologically and mentally. It does a lot for you.
Joe, you're the boss. What do you do to relieve stress or eat right, or how do you keep yourself well?
Well, mom's the boss.
I'm sorry, that's right. Mom is the boss, yes.
Mom is in charge at Garrity's. But for me personally, I think if I was younger, I'd probably be diagnosed with ADD. So it's not an issue for me. I get up from my desk every 15 minutes or I go stir crazy. But for me, I don't have a lot of stress. I have a lot of great people around me and a lot of terrific employees, and my wife as well, who take a lot of the stress for me.
Well, that's
that support group is critical.
Absolutely.
Well, and once wellness programs are in place, and once people are getting used to the idea of healthier choices, and attitudes are changing, and you see someone walking and all this, what are all the benefits? Tell us about some of the benefits that it all adds up to.
Well, I can talk a little bit about what we've done actually with Blue Cross, with people that we've worked with, particularly our own employer group, and we've seen, now it took a few years, but we've seen our health cost trends come down to maybe only a 4% increase, when other people were seeing in the 7 to 12% range. We've seen fewer people be admitted to the hospital. We've seen fewer ER visits, and we actually even see with the people who exercise, we see that they miss less time from work. So we're seeing and you can see the smiles on people's faces on our Walking Wednesday. People get to wear their sneakers, and they're encouraged throughout the day to go on walks, things like that. And we're really seeing the difference in productivity. We've measured at least $1,400 per employee who's engaged in these programs. And we know that we have healthier, happier people. So that's what it's about for us.
And that's what's really important, because that's how you're going to get people to stay involved in the wellness program. They have to get a personal payoff. And for a lot of people, they might see disease reversal. So they get better diabetes control, asthma control, their back stops hurting. We know in general, when we do these health promotion things, people tend to live longer and or healthier. They're happier, so the mental health, there's a big mental and emotional health component. Just overall quality of life is better. And families notice it too, because that stress isn't coming home. And so when they are at home, they are able to really be happy and enjoy their loved ones, and their loved ones can enjoy them.
Now, do you help people set up programs if they are a Blue Cross program, and you offer the company like this, setting up a program for them?
Yes, and there are a lot of resources that are available to, if you're 1 or 2 people, there's a lot that's available on our website, a lot online. That for somewhat larger groups, as Joe's experienced, is a group of people that actually will come out and work with you, do a wellness survey at your company, work with you on establishing a program that makes sense for you, work on incentives, which are a very important part of, because while the payoff is that feeling better and getting healthier, sometimes it's important to start that momentum going, to have
With
those
like a little, like an
little-
incentive, like.
yeah, and I think that
Yeah, and we have 1,000 employees, and we have a corporate structure, and we probably could have done it all on our own, but we did go to Blue Cross, and they did provide quite a bit of help to us, and a lot of insight and a lot of support, and it was really a wonderful partnership that we have with them.
Now we have about a minute and a half left, and I just, if we're talking to people out there, no matter who their health care covers, what is the #1 thing someone can do to get their employees on the right track? Or get themselves on the right track? You don't really even need the company to tell you.
Take that first step. If you have take a health assessment so that you understand most of our health problems are driven by our own lifestyle choices, as Dr. Donna was saying. So take a health assessment, understand your risks, and decide that you're going to take one small step. And go see your doctor if you haven't, because that's the most important way to get started and make sure you're getting the preventive interventions that'll make a difference.
I'm sorry, I would add for employers, one thing that they often forget, make sure your employees know, or at least believe, that you care about them. Because if they think you just want to do it just to save a buck, that's where you get some resistance. But employees, they work better and more productive when they believe their employers care about them.
Well, I want to thank Dr. Nina, Dr. Donna, and Joe for joining me today on Newsmakers. I think we've learned a lot. The information we have learned today will be on our website on pahomepage.com under the Newsmakers link. For everyone behind the scenes, I'm Jane Ann Bugda. Thank you so much for making Newsmakers part of your day, and we'll talk again next time.